Welcome in, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is Thursday, October 23rd, right here on Jocks. Listen online, jocksfm.com. The app is in your app store. Download that and listen on the go. We've got the Rubik's Cubelic today. We've got Alex Mortenson, UAB interim head football coach, in 20 minutes. We've got Trey Biddy talking Arkansas, hour number 2. Jordan Kay talking South Carolina in hour number 3. Obviously, those teams face off against Auburn and Alabama this weekend. Let's start with Alabama, Greg, because there hasn't been much made from this game. But if you were to look at this and say there should be a little concern, there should be antennas up for this part of this game as it pertains to Alabama going up against this South Carolina team, what should that be?
I think this is a tricky game, I think, by the way. Like, this could be the toughest game of the 5-game stretch. And the reason why I say that is because this is a game to test maturity. You're going to have everyone's attention when you're going out there and you're playing against a ranked opponent. You'll have everybody in a really good mental place. But honestly, it's concerning when you're going up against a guy or a team that still has talent, but nobody really is giving them a real big chance. This might be their only chance. So I just think this is one you got to be very careful with this week, because there might be a situation that could arise where all of a sudden they catch fire, and next thing you know, you're in a dogfight.
Well, I think, too, you look at having defenders on the edges that can be problematic. There is still a bootleg, play action, sometimes little hybrid zone read action from Alabama. There's some things that are happening off tackle with the quarterback that you have to be a little bit concerned about. You just have to make sure it's shored up. You don't want to allow Brian Thomas, Dylan Stewart the opportunity to make big plays, momentum plays, get the ball out, maybe a scoop and score, tip ball for an interception. You got to be careful of those because they're good players over off the edge. And they 100%. Have veteran DBs that can hide things, disguise things. Ty Simpson's been great with where he's delivered the football. But I think if you're asking me where they should be concerned, it would just be with what they're capable of doing up front, because they have the secondary to be able to help cover it, hide it, and then guys that can make individual plays on their own. And we've seen some issues at right tackle. So if you're going to go straight drop back game, that should be an area you're a little bit concerned as well.
I think it's totally reasonable. And this is not like buyer beware. This is not us being contrarian. I think if you ask any coach, and the reason why I know this is because I talked to Nick Saban on Monday, and he talked about the challenges of this game and the importance of being at your best in this game, and how your best might be a little tougher to get in this game because of what's going on around you. If you think you're just going to roll the ball out there and that's absolutely rip them to shreds, then I think you're in for something that you don't want to be in for. Now, if you think you just roll the ball out there and all of a sudden just they're just going to lay down, then you're wrong. I think that this is a proud football team. I'm not saying that Shane's coaching for his job, but this would be one that would alleviate a lot of pressure moving forward. And you're in a spot now where they still have talented guys. Like, still a talented group in general. Are they not? Like, this is not maybe as talented as they were when I played against them, or maybe as talented a group as they were even last year, but they're still talented. So it's just a dangerous game if you don't take them seriously and you don't approach it with the same type of preparation that you utilized the last 4 weeks in ranked competition.
All right, a couple places I want to go after that. Number one, I want to start with Coach Saban. We never really followed up on that conversation you had with him. What did he say about retirement, about being a member of the media now?
Well, he's not a member of the media, according to him.
Okay, according to us, he is.
That's what I said. I said your Emmy says otherwise.
That get him in and around campus, he also is. So,
hey, you're preaching to the choir. He's the member of the media, and I told him flat out, hey, this whole y'all stuff, you accepted an Emmy last year as breakthrough media star. So if you want to give that one back, then you are no longer a member of the media. But he goes, I didn't vote for that. I'm like, I understand that, but you're a breakthrough media star, man. You're a media guy. Just to embrace the reality of your new normal. But I think he's enjoying it. I think he misses part of the competition, but I think he's excited about what he's got going on at the STEM Center, the Saban Center in Tuscaloosa. Like, he wants very much that to be his legacy and what he's remembered for. and has been very hands-on and making sure that gets off the ground, and that does an amazing thing here in our community to make sure that everything is beneficial for the development and all the STEM research and things like that in Alabama. So that's what he's most proud of at this point. I think he's been working a lot on it. But he seemed like he was in a good place. And we just talked more big picture college football than we did anything else. We didn't talk as much about life, but we did get to visit for a bit before and after. But he's doing great, and it was great to spend some time with him.
Well, it's been cool to watch him, and I'm interested in. Did you guys discuss anything about how his view on football has changed? His view on how kids are playing the game, maybe why certain aspects of teams are struggling further into portal continuity. Just is there anything you think he's sort of picked up on now, seen differently from this angle that he wasn't hyper aware of as a head coach?
No, he didn't really discuss that. He just talked a little bit about the challenges of, why he retired. He talked a little bit about that. He talked a little bit about, making sure that, and he talked a little bit about Auburn's situation. He talked a little bit about Alabama's situation. He talked about all sorts of stuff, but he didn't really discuss so much as to, that specific entity, like that specific area. No, didn't talk as much about that. He did talk, however, about, how NIL could potentially alter the approach of the coach naturally, how NIL was a factor when it came to every single recruiting discussion, and that was challenging at times, how they eventually moved towards it. But one thing that I think you would find interesting, one of the questions I had for him was just him being willing to adjust philosophically and him being willing to adjust to what the changes in the landscape were from an offensive and defensive philosophy standpoint. And he actually was like kind of mad at my question, which was totally fine. But the question was phrased in a way that was like, hey, you were willing to go outside of maybe your comfort zone in 2014 and hire Lane Kiffin to kind of reinvent yourself offensively. That was kind of the gist of the question. And he basically was very, very strong and convicted in saying, no, that was my offense that I told Lane Kiffin to implement. I said, hey, we want to run RPOs. We want to run this and that. And we want things that can stress this and stress that. And Lane, you need to go and spend this off season. Do you think you can call it? Two, do you think you can go and learn it this off season from guys like Chip Kelly, Hugh Freeze, watching others, Malzahn, go watch others and put that into the system and kind of make a new system that would still maintain all of our pro-style philosophies, but also has another layer that would lead to us being a little more RPO and adjusting a bit there as well. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Like it was Coach Saban that was basically drawing up the offensive plays, and Lane Kiffin basically piecing all this stuff together from different philosophies and kind of recreating a new offense.
Well, he has always said, from the standpoint of terminology, things of that nature, it's always been his. And so I guess that's kind of where he's going, is that when a new coordinator comes in, he's told me multiple times that he doesn't change the verbiage. It all stays the same. And I guess this was just, it's going to have the same verbiage, but we want it to look different, but still my offense. So, but I haven't heard that. Thinking everybody else.
I didn't either.
Believes,
I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, he let Lane sort of just take the reins and run with it. And that's the way.
Well, and then I thought about it. I was like, well, Lane in 2009, for example, wasn't running like a lot of RPO. Like it was very pro style. It's not like Lane was like some offensive innovator. Lane was pretty pro style. Like USC was pretty pro style. His time in the NFL was naturally pro style. It's not like Lane was some, RPO master. He wasn't Chip Kelly, for example, that was, moving from Eugene, Oregon to Tuscaloosa. He was really more pro style and had variations off of his pro styled nature that still featured players, still made sure players were in the forefront, make sure it was players over plays, but also the same guy could stress the defense the way that Nick Saban wanted to stress the defense going forward. I thought that was interesting because I was always under the impression that he went out and tried to hire a guy that would do those things, that did those things. And that's why Lane Kiffin was attractive, when in reality it was the opposite. He liked Lane Kiffin's offense and its pro-style nature, but wanted Lane Kiffin to evolve to best accommodate what Coach wanted the offense to look like going forward. I just thought it was interesting.
It is very interesting. So we'll have more on that conversation, can spend more time on it, more discussions of it. College football last night, Delaware finds a way to come back and take down Middle Tennessee. Derek Mason's group had a decent lead in that game, and I actually went to sleep. I'm not exactly sure how they came back and finished that one off. Delaware 31-28. Middle Tennessee goes to 1-6 on the season. Delaware 4-3, impressive after moving up. They rushed 36 times for 79 yards last night and got the win. Missouri State also gets a win over New Mexico State. They're 4-3. New Mexico State 3-4. That game went to overtime. 24-17. Missouri State gets that win. Logan Fife, quarterback for New Mexico State, 22 of 34, 207, 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions last night. Not ideal. Don't want to give the ball back that many times to your opponent. And
not great.
Did while their opponent was on the road and ended up losing. As football season moves on, you know that means changes in the weather are coming. Protect your HVAC system with a checkup from a trained comfort specialist. So when the cold weather hits, you'll have peace of mind that you're protected by America's most reliable and trusted brand. Find a comfort specialist near you at train.com. It's hard to stop a train. South Alabama at Georgia State tonight, 6:30 on ESPN2. Both teams 1-6. Vikings Chargers tonight. Vikings 3-3, Chargers 4-3. So we'll have more on games coming up this weekend. And don't forget this hour coming up in about 18 minutes. Alex Mortensen, UAB head football coach on the interim, will be with us there right here on Jocks. UAB interim head football coach Alex Mortenson will join us in 5 minutes to discuss the win against Memphis over the weekend. We mentioned South Alabama at Georgia State tonight at 6:30, and we'll talk college football throughout the course of the show today. Quickly, GMAC, did you see any of or hear about the Spurs game last night?
Yes, I've already watched the Sports Center for You. Have you tried this beta yet on the ESPN app on Apple TV?
I have not, no.
Well, it's legit. And, excuse me, I had a little sneezage. Anyways, when you look at these Sports Center betas, it's unbelievable, by the way. You could pick all your favorite teams. So I have Mavs, Bama men's basketball, Bama women's Bama men's basketball, Bama football, basically all Bama. Vince wanted Notre Dame football, so we have them in there. Mavericks, Stars, Jets, and Dodgers. So I have all those, and basically you have your own 7-minute Sports Center every morning on the ESPN app. It's called SC4U, and you get highlights and or news about your favorite sports and or teams. I also have college football and I also have PGA Tour. It's unbelievable, dude. You got to check it out. You're going to love it. And the kids will love it. It's like 7-minute Sports Center. Vince comes down every day and watches it every day. So, yeah, I did. I saw the Mavs and the Spurs highlights last night. Wemby in the highlight had 4 dunks. So I can't even imagine how many he had in the game.
I'm not 100% certain on the dunks, but 15 of 21, 9 of 11 from the free throw line, 15 rebounds, 40 points. And the only reason I bring
he's got
that
a chance,
3
I think.
blocks.
He keeps that up. He's got a chance. He might have a chance at a max deal.
125-92, Spurs get the win over the Mavs. The only reason I bring this up is that I'm feeling really good about my Spurs world title pick right now.
One game.
They're
all
undefeated.
Of a sudden, we going, baby.
Tell me who looked better.
Undefeated.
Not that I really expect anybody to be able to answer that, but tell me the team that's looked better. No one can, because no one has seen any
They're
other games,
undefeated.
but either way. Is that on the new ESPN app that you have to have that to get the Sports Center for You?
I don't know. I mean, I'm a subscriber to that. I might even be a subscriber to the old ESPN app. I don't even know anymore. I don't even pay attention to it anymore. I know it's all coming back around, baby. That's all I know.
Sign up for everything.
So anything involving ESPN/Hulu/Disney, I'm signed up for. So I don't know for sure, but I would imagine that yes, it's probably part of it. But go and check it out on Apple TV. Like, go to the ESPN app and you'll see it. It's Sports Center for You. You just got to put in your favorite teams, log in, all this stuff. It is awesome. It is really cool. You'll really like it.
Does it have to be through the Apple TV app? I would also ask, because we don't really do a lot of Apple TV anymore because it's just all run through our televisions.
Oh yeah, well I use Apple TV.
Gotcha.
Apple TV is to me by far the best platform to stream on. Like all these other ones, the Fire Sticks and the Samsung smart TVs and stuff, like they're not nearly as quick and they're not nearly as user friendly. So I use Apple.
Noted. All right, let's go to the Higginbotham hotline. Welcome in Alex Mortenson, UAB interim head football coach. Mort, it's great to have you in. Congrats on that win over the weekend. Very interested in kind of what you foresaw heading into this game, and then maybe what began to take place that you didn't have a lot of confidence in or weren't sure, whether that be how Memphis played you, what Memphis was capable of. Kind of take us through the DNA of this upset you guys were able to pull over the weekend.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me on. And going back to talk about this game, it's hard not to talk about the circumstances that surrounded it. And at the beginning of the week, obviously, Coach Dilfer, lost his job here. And so that was hard. It was hard on a lot of people in the building, hard on the staff, hard on the players. A lot of people very, very close to him and respected him as both a person and as a coach. And he meant a lot to a lot of people. So that was the first thing, was, responding to that in the right way, the best way, with, resiliency and also, getting focused. And I think talking about the focus part is we had to drive everyone's focus somewhere. And we felt like, okay, it's better to drive it to one, it was this Children's Harbor game where the guys are kind of playing for these kids, and I won't go into the full explanation of what that is. I think a lot of people are familiar with it, but they're paired with kids that are have severe illnesses this week, and so that was something they got into. And the other thing too is I just we wanted to remind them that hey, you fell in love with the game of football long before you ever knew who your head coach was in college. So this idea of playing for a coach, these guys play hard for a coach. Like, hey, let's play hard for each other. So that was the first thing I think was getting the buy-in of. Because I think that kind of precedes effort, and then from there, recognizing that we're playing a very good team. Memphis was undefeated for a reason. I think they'd won 28 out of their last 33. And as an offensive coach, and being an offensive coordinator, the thing that really stood out was how disruptive they were up front. And so we felt like to win the game, one, we were going to need to try to control the line of scrimmage, both in the run and the pass game, and prevent negative plays as much as possible. And then, secondly, and to add to that further, our offense has not been very good when we found ourselves in second and long this year. We've been second 11 plus, and we've created too many negative plays ourselves, for a variety of reasons. So part of it was, hey, can we stay ahead of the sticks a little bit, stay in the driver's seat? And then the other part, too, was, you're playing a team like this, you in a perfect world, look, you'd like to shrink the game and minimize possessions a little bit. And so those were some of the things going in, and the guys, I think, really bought into that and went out and executed it really well.
Oh, clearly, in watching it back, I mean, it was not like it was completely in control. It was crazy there in the fourth quarter, and y'all had to have some timely stops. And the defense, frankly, Alex, the last couple of years, they've struggled. I mean, Trent will tell you that. I think you'll tell us that. The defense has not been a side of the ball that you've been able to capably rely on. So what does it say about their ability to kind of step up and get those stops down the stretch to ultimately give you all the win?
One, it was a great job by the guys on defense and the defensive staff, but they fought to the end and played really hard, and then showed good discipline inside the five. When the other team had some penalties. But also, we need to, like you said, it was a little bit dramatic down the stretch, and we had opportunities. We built a really good lead in that game. I think it was 31-17, and we had opportunities to put the game away on offense. We did have 2 turnovers in the game as well. So that's the first thing is like, hey, next time we get somebody in that position, we need to put them away. We need to put them away on offense. Now, in regards to the defensive part, like, yeah, they probably, are looking to turn the corner and try to play at a higher level. I think that started on Saturday. And I really believe it started with effort and just being a relentless, hey, Greg, you've heard this a few times, being a relentless competitor. And then I think the next thing too is, there is a lot of room for improvement because a lot of times we are in position and I think if we will simply tackle better, we'll be quite a bit better on defense. And so that's something these guys are working on too. But down the stretch, I mean, it was, they had an explosive play that took them down to the 1, and kind of feel like, okay, there's a high probability this ball is going in, and we have to make a decision as to whether or not we're going to be aggressive with basically a minute left on the clock, or are we going to be a little more conservative and take the game into overtime. So all those things are going through your head. Next thing you know, we're actually getting a stop, and the game's over. So it was really, really wild.
We're visiting with Alex Mortensen, UAB interim head football coach, coming off a massive win against Memphis over the weekend. So where do things shift now moving forward for you and the staff? What do you kind of set out to accomplish short term? What do you now maybe alter, shift to for the rest of this season?
Well, I think, this is obviously a unique situation, and our mindset is one, we need to do the best job we can for these players to, coach them the best we can and help them continue to develop. And so that's obviously that's the first thing in figuring out how to do that. Now, to be more specific, I think one, just the psychology of realizing and everyone realizing it is one game. Okay. It is just one game. And so now, it's like, okay, what are we going to do with that? Are we going to be a one-hit wonder? You got a taste of something. Are you going to feel satisfied and full, or is that going to make us more hungry for more? And, and also just not hungry for more, but also trying to get everyone to understand that, you got to be hungry to do the things that it takes to win. And a lot of that happens Monday through Friday. And so, we've shown what we're capable of, but now the idea is like, hey, it's really not what we're capable of. It's what we're willing to do to get what we want. And so just trying to bridge all of that back into working the way we need to work, Monday through Friday. That's really where we're starting, just from a mental standpoint. And then from a schematic standpoint, I think you're in a bye week, there's always things you can, you can look at and say, okay, how, are we utilizing, our players the best way we can? And so there's been some conversation around that too.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And as you kind of make sure that you weather the storm initially, and I know every circumstance is different, but I would imagine this applies to what's going on in Florida. It applies to what happened at Arkansas. Like, how do you weather that initial disappointment to just kind of flip the script and make sure the guys buy in again? Because I would think the second the coach gets fired, everyone starts looking around, calling agents, looking at the portal, thinking about other opportunities as opposed to focusing on the task at hand. So, like, how do you compartmentalize that and kind of allow guys to kind of get focused in?
Well, one, I will say this, like, I got to give Coach Dilfer credit because I really believe, like, go all the way back to the offseason, things he did in terms of how he messaged the team about having resiliency, buying into having a brotherhood, playing for each other. I think those things actually helped a lot in a situation like this. And so that's number one, I think. And then two, just, once everything happened, I do think everyone was shook up pretty good, but quickly reminding them that there's 6 weeks left. And one of the things we talked about, the first team meeting we had, one thing I reminded them, I said, look, let's categorize this in two areas. Like, one, we can talk about team goals. And I still believe there are guys in this room that are about the team and believe in the team and want to be about each other. And then there's also individual goals. And if we were to really simplify it, you probably fall into one of three categories. You want to play in the NFL. Okay. You want to be a UAB Blazer in the future, or you want to get in the portal and go play somewhere else. I'm not naive. I get it. Okay. So if you're one of those three categories, all right, how are you served by tanking and not giving your best? The best way to create value for your situation is to go play your very best. So, that was the first thing we talked about, is trying to focus them on, like, hey, how does it actually help me to not give my best here and not buy in? So, and, I think the guys did respond to that. I also think, though, there were a lot of them that were in that first category, though, of really being about the team. So that was really cool to see.
Alex, what is the formula to manage this part of roster management, I guess, in today's college football? You've seen it now as an assistant. You spent a little bit of time as an interim head coach. I know you've talked to other people on other staffs about it, because part of what you just said there made me think about, it's a great strategy to discuss with your team, and made me think about Coach Elko at A&M, who is giving guys different reps to get film in practice to be able to send out if they're going to want to go somewhere else, guys that aren't necessarily dressing out and playing with the team. What is the, I guess, demeanor, attitude, suggestion, way to handle guys that you have a pretty good feeling are going to want to leave, but are going to stick around? Because we've talked to coaches on this show that say, once you tell me you want that red shirt and you're out of here, like, you're not with the team anymore. We're not going to do that. You're kind of in that seat now. If a program becomes yours sometime soon, how would you handle it?
Right. Well, one, I mean, I think formula is an interesting word, and I think we're a little bit still in an experimental phase for a lot of folks. And, we're finding out, too, now we're going to one portal window. It's probably going to be a 15-day window. I mean, this thing is still a moving target, it really is. And, I think, and this is one of those things, like, you can complain about. I've probably complained about it at some point, all the change and the difficulty. But my first coaching job was at New Mexico Highlands, and it's a Division II program. A lot of our players showed up after the 4th of July. And somehow, all these guys from all over the country show up there, after the 4th. And, man, they came together. They really did. We went and we won 8 games. And that really showed me, like, hey, you can create that pretty quick. I really do believe that. And so I think you can kind of serve two masters. I think you can help guys accomplish their individual goals and recognize that, hey, we are maybe in a new world where they're going to, seek opportunities elsewhere. And I think, it's our responsibility to try to help the players and help them with their future. And sometimes the best thing is to leave. And then sometimes the best thing is to stay. I think you got to call it like you see it and be honest. Well, that's one thing I appreciate about Coach Saban is, like, when I worked for him, if a guy was really, best served by going out in the draft as an underclassman, he'd tell them based on their grade, what they were going to earn. He'd say, hey, look, you should go out. Okay. But if it was, at a certain point, he'd also tell them you should stay. And I thought that honesty, really went a long way for him. And I think you kind of have to approach it the same way with your players here, but also driving back to this, like you're still a developing player. So even if you got an eye on the portal, the best thing for you to do right now for your development is to focus on getting better today and then cross that bridge later, when we get to the portal season.
Hey, Alex, I got a quick question for you because you have spent time on Nick Saban's staff. Greg shared a story with us a little bit earlier in the show, and he said when you had that philosophy shift in offenses and brought Lane Kiffin in, and Greg can clarify it if I'm wrong here, but apparently Coach Saban said, no, that was my offense. I just had Lane run in a different way and said we were going to run some different plays. Which side would you be on there that you believe? That was Lane's offense or that was Saban telling him which offense to run and drawing up the plays?
Well, one, I want to say, Lane Kiffin's obviously, one of the best offensive minds in the country and, has really been brilliant. And I think Lane would even tell you this when we got there at the same time in 2014, in Alabama, had a great program and had been good on offense too, for sure. But, Coach Saban wanted to change a little bit and grow the offense. Well, go back and look at Lane's background. I think that's what people forget to do sometimes is that, prior he'd been the head coach at USC and then prior to that, of course, if you kind of skip the Raiders and Tennessee, but if you go back when he was a young assistant and coordinator at USC, in both those stops, they were a multiple pro style offense, 2 back, 2 tight ends, 1 back, 3 receivers. They huddled, they read off a wristband, and they were very good. They were very, very good on offense, but that's how they played. And then, and again, I don't want to speak for Coach Kiffin, but, he's also out there in that conference where, Chip Kelly was doing what he was doing. And then his friend Sark, when Sark was at Washington, Sark made the transition to going no huddle and playing at the line of scrimmage and playing spread out and playing fast. And so here's Coach Saban, in the SEC at the time, you had Auburn was playing fast and playing in the shotgun most of the time. You had Texas A&M, when Manziel was there. You had Hugh Freeze at Ole Miss. So there was some change. And so I think Coach Saban wanted to push things a little bit more that direction. But I think what Lane wanted to do, again, I don't want to speak for him, was, okay, how can we, take the pace of play, the tempo, and some of the problems people are presenting, but also still have, a really well thought out concepts and some sophistication to, the scheme. And so I think he wanted to try to marry both. And so, Coach Saban, I think, was basically mandated, like, hey, we're taking the wristband off. We're going to signal. We're going to go fast. We're going to have the ability to play the line of scrimmage. And then I think Coach Kiffin then figured out, okay, how do we best do that? So I do think Greg is right. It was really Coach Saban that said, hey, this is the direction we're going. I think Coach Kiffin probably already had some intrigue about going that way. And then we kind of went on a 3-year journey to try to create that.
It's really interesting stuff, man. Thank you so much for sharing it. Congrats on the win against Memphis. Best of luck the rest of the way, and hopefully we can catch up again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys, for having me.
There you go. Alex, more respect for Coach. Talking Coach Saban. And I have a question for the group that is this. Do you have to be a certain age to understand blank? We'll discuss that when we come back next, right here on Jocks. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 7:38 right here on Jocks. Anything you took away from Coach Mortensen there, G-Mac?
No, I mean, just cool to hear their approach. And it's such an easy message. Look, all these guys, all these players being in a weird way, independent contractors. I don't like looking at them that way, but it's the reality, especially after a coach gets fired, you really become kind of the mainstay of your own brand. So what does that mean? It means that what is going to best serve you individually as a player going forward? If this season is a lost cause because your coach got fired in your eyes, tell me what is going to best position you for success in the future. And I think it's giving your teammates and your coaches, your interim coaches, each other relentless effort. And I think that is massive, absolutely massive going forward for the psyche and the mentality of players. Look, if you want to go to the NFL, is having bad tape going to help get you there? Hey, you want to go in the portal, is having bad tape going to get you a really good landing spot? Or if you want to be at UAB, is losing a bunch of games down the stretch going to be beneficial for y'all long term? It's going to make it a more attractive destination for a coach. I think those are three really good messages to send, and that can be applied to any place that is thinking about undergoing an in-season coaching change.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the year goes because I think a lot of people heard that interview and gained some confidence of what Mort could be as a head coach and maybe what this team may be through the rest of the season. Tell our listeners about ProLift Garages, though.
Well, ProLift Garage Doors, they can service all types of garage doors, which is great because this is not just one specific brand. They're a service company. They can get you taken care of. And they're one of the very best when it comes to making sure that your garage door is taken care of. And they can help you down in Baldwin County. They can help you here in Birmingham. I'd go to the website proliftdoors.com. The numbers for each, Jeffrey in Baldwin County and Mike here locally, it's on the website. So go to proliftdoors.com. They can work on all existing garage doors. There's no service call fees. You only pay for the work. So if you're noticing unusual noises, slow response times, vibration, shaking, call for a maintenance service. And you can do so by going to proliftdoors.com. That's proliftdoors.com. ProLift Garage Doors, lifting your expectations.
Okay, Louis DeArmond tweeting into the show at Mac and Cube. You can always tweet in. You can text in 205-834-9450. Call in 800-239-9569. He tweets, do you have to be a certain age to understand SEC games used to be played on TBS? Not just Big Bang Theory all day. Yes. Understand the Daves and Big Man on Big Man. Yes. The Daves, I believe, is a reference to the Reebok Olympics ad.
No, the Daves. Dave, and Dave. Like Dave Neal. Those are the Daves on the
That was Dave and
on
Dan
the 11
O'Brien.
a.m. Jefferson Pilot
close.
games.
Okay, got it.
That was the fourth Dave.
Letterman?
Okay,
Is
fifth.
Letterman doing studio work on?
I don't know. Maybe you do, but that was not exactly what that was in reference to. When we come back, I will ask this question. Do you have to be a certain age to enjoy what part of life? Next on Jocks. 7:45 Thursday, October 23rd on Jocks. Thor Burke at Thor WDE tweets in Dave Rowe, Dave Neal, Dave Baker.
There you go.
Yeah.
I thought we were referencing a Dave somewhere else, though. Yeah, I think it was Dan and Dave O'Brien and someone else, the Reebok commercial I was thinking of. And they both failed miserably in the Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
But
Ultra
hey,
hyped.
we built it up for a while.
It was the Fire Fest of the Olympic.
That's actually
preview.
a great
Yeah,
comp,
yeah.
I feel like, right there.
It's a
But
great comp.
the Olympics actually did take place.
Well, yeah.
Otherwise.
Blame Ja Rule.
Before we get into something of a certain age, if you have to be to enjoy it, I got to get to this. Even though we already had our NBA segment of the day, why would we not talk more? It was so successful yesterday that people couldn't stop talking about it. Shams is tweeting an hour ago, Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier arrested this morning as part of an FBI sports betting gambling probe. The Eastern District of New York and FBI Director Kash Patel will hold a press conference at 9 a.m. to discuss the arrest and investigation.
Not the only one.
A couple of moments later, he tweeted out, Portland Trailblazers guard Chauncey Billups has been arrested by the FBI for alleged illegal gambling. Sources
Portland
tell
Trailblazers
ESPN.
coach, not guard, coach.
Head coach. Like the
Head coach.
Just coached last night.
Well, hold on. Did they play each other last night?
No, they played the Timberwolves last
No, I
night.
was going to say that would be even better.
Okay, well, that's why, yeah. If you're
They're
already
both
together.
on the same side. Whoops.
Here's what's amazing about this. Rozier, right? That's who you said was the guy that got nailed. Yeah, Rozier. He's in the fourth year of a $96 million deal. And this obviously is just one specific section of the story. Sportsbooks in multiple states flag suspicious betting interest on Rozier's statistics ahead of a Charlotte Hornets New Orleans Pelicans game in 2023. An unexpected surge of bets, including 30 wagers in 46 minutes, came from a professional bettor totaling $13,759. So, just so we're all on the same page here, and just doing a little simple math, just charting it real quick. Rozier, on average, right now, according to his contract, is making about $24 million a year, which, by my calculations, is about $294,000 a game, and there was $13,900, just under $14,000 bet on this specific game. So he made $294,000, and a bettor that is being flagged as suspicious might have made $14,000.
Is that the entire history of said bettor? I mean, I doubt
I don't know.
I doubt they're going to do this after one wager.
That's the one that they cited.
Well, sure, but they had to have a reason to pay attention to that individual, I would imagine.
Probably, but Rozier gets, I don't even know how an arrangement like that would work. Like maybe Rozier has gambling debt. Like I remember reading about the Headache Smith or whatever for Arizona State, and he was basically in debt and had to work it off by point shaving and stuff like that. Like it's a really, really crazy story. They did a 30 for 30 on it. And so that was one thing, but this guy's making $294,000 a game. A game.
Well, my first question would be, in all honesty, how much do you think he is spending a day?
I don't know.
It's probably a lot. So, I mean, that's just the reality of it. The more people make, the more people spend. But
fair, but goodness gracious, to like be involved in a gambling operation for $14,000 when you're making $294 a game. I mean, it's just. I'm sorry. For me, it's a hard one to figure out.
Look, Greg, some of us gamble for the love of the game. Okay.
Exactly.
Not
I
everyone
mean, that's
does it
fine.
for money.
I mean, I get that, I suppose, but like,
when you've got to lean, you've got to lean.
Right.
I mean,
well, no, these guys, it's not
Information is
it's not a
information.
lean. It's his involvement in like player props and stuff like that. Like he leaves the game citing a foot injury after less than 10 minutes, and all his under props win. So clearly there's like a connection there, right? I mean, that's
It's that Brian
crazy.
Windhorse. It's that Brian Windhorse.
Well, and then there's the discussion around some of the players being listed as questionable and then doubtful and then being listed to questionable again within hours before games have tipped already this season. And then star players, as we mentioned, well, it wasn't a star player yesterday, but a player who was listed as doubtful for load management in the season opener. So this little back and forth has some other people asking questions as to how and why guys are being listed and their probability of playing, and why is that changing literally minutes before games tip, which you bring into question. Just if you were going to wager on a game and you were confident somebody was going to play, how would that change if you knew a certain player was not going to play?
I think it probably changed pretty good bit.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
It changed pretty good bit.
Just reality of it. So, I mean, I would love to ask the question, is this going to affect your viewership of the NBA? However, I feel like I know the answer to that. But
About to say, it's hard to go from 0 to negative on regular season NBA viewership.
I asked that question. There are some people now that are like,
This is what's going on.
I'm definitely going to be watching Portland tonight.
They have the
We'll
Warriors
see
now.
how that's going.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It does become a little interesting.
Yeah. I mean, some people might sit there now and say, I want to know what Miami's going to look like tonight.
Might be some action.
Just
Let's see what the team total is for the Trailblazers for the next game.
maybe we're going to find out is all news good news. And
That's
just
key.
being
Still
in front
crazy,
of people
man.
sort of drives the meter a little bit.
insane.
I don't know the answer to that. So
It's insane. Like, I mean, these are guys making $100 million. And it's like, I don't know what they're thinking. Like, the one thing you know as a professional athlete, you can't gamble. That's like the one thing. You know that. Like, you know that. And I know sometimes, like, there are some circumstances that to me are like, you can't participate in fantasy. You can't, you get read those rules at the beginning of every season. And it's like, man, it's just crazy to me. Like, if you are directly involved in the outcome of games, you cannot touch it.
you
Like,
say that, Greg, but it's no different than a college coach and an FU coach that we talk about a lot of times. Like, how many humans are telling these guys no
I
to
understand
whatever
that,
they
but
want to
it's just-
do? And they're flying on their own chartered planes. They're being bussed into the Four Seasons. Like, they go to the arena, they go to their hotel, they go to the next city, they go to the arena, they go to their hotel. I guarantee a lot of them are bored out of their minds. Like, what's the ninth man for Portland doing in his spare time? Because he probably has a lot of it, and he's not real tired.
Right.
Shoot around ain't wearing him out. Just saying.
No,
Like,
you
a lot
right.
of these, and even the guy's not making 100. The guy's making 40
Yeah.
this year who are not playing 10 minutes a game. They're probably bored out of their minds. And nobody's telling them no. And they probably got other guys that are getting away with it somehow, letting their girlfriend or their buddy do it for them or using their account. And they're looking at them saying, okay, this might be fun to get involved in this. Let's try this a little bit. Who cares? I got $52 million in the bank. Here we go. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to all of it, but I would imagine that boredom, time on one's hand, and not a lot of people telling you no has a lot to do with this.
Probably, but to me, it's one thing if you are like, oh, I'd like to place a wager on some horse racing. You're bored, bet horses. Like, no one's judging you for that. Like, no,
I would actually
you're
say
bored.
terrible idea because
I'm not
no
saying
one
it's a
knows
good way to make
about
money.
horse racing.
It's not
Zero.
saying-
If I'm the last man on the bench for Portland, you know what I do know? What my team's going to look like tonight and probably what the other team's going to look like tonight. So I'm going to probably bet on that because I don't think I'm going to get caught. And I got buddies that are doing it. And I got FU money. So I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think you're taking into account the least amount of care that these individuals have about
That's-
things.
That's the key.
Oh, I get suspended? I have $52 million in my bank account. So what?
It's,
I
it's
average, what,
one
8
thing
minutes
if
a
you're
game?
gambling. It's one thing if you're gambling on games. It's another thing when you are directly involved and they can clearly associate guys playing, not playing, based on your decision and the impact that that has on the prop betting market. Like, I mean, I don't know, man. It's just, it's one thing to bet on a game. It's another thing to point shave. You know what I mean? It's like those are two very different things. And the FBI sting operation, they're not arresting guys for betting on games. You get kicked out of the league for betting on games. Like that, you get suspended for betting on games.
Well, and that's the reason that I brought up.
You get arrested for fixing games.
Well, that's the reason I brought up the availability reports, because I think when we think point shaving, we immediately think, blue chips where the guys like turning the ball over or intentionally missing shots. If you're not playing your star player and he could be playing,
that changes.
If that becomes literal and proven point shaving, think about where the NBA is right now.
Yeah.
If it is proven that point shaving is a head coach only playing Anthony Edwards 15 minutes instead of 32, oh, buddy. It's a whole new world. All right, I did ask the question, do you have to be a certain age to enjoy this? I will ask it next right here on Jocks.